Yeah, I saw this article. Kilmar Abrego Garcia returned to the U.S. charged with transporting people into the country illegally.
Good afternoon.
Here's Pam Bondi,
We're here today to announce a major update in an important
aka blonde Republican woman number 67.
case. Abrego Garcia has landed in the United States to face justice. On May 21st, a grand jury in the Middle District of Tennessee returned a sealed indictment charging Abrego Garcia with alien smuggling and conspiracy to commit alien smuggling in violation of Title 8 U.S.C. 1324. We want to thank President Bukele for agreeing to
President Bukele. Oh my God.
return Abrego Garcia to the United States.
I like how literally, what was it, a month or 2 months ago, both Abrego and, sorry, not Abrego, Trump and Bukele were both saying, oh, we just don't have the jurisdiction to do that. I'm sorry. Me, Donald Trump, the richest man, well, not richest man, most powerful man on the planet right now. What am I supposed to do? Make them do it? You know I can't do that. And then Bukele is sitting right there and is like, well, it's not like we're the U.S. We can't do anything either.
Our government presented...
Sorry to the chatter who wrote, at Denims, so how's that lawsuit going? Can you just skip to the part where you say all the Gazans deserve to die? Because every single one of you people starts here and then eventually ends up there. So if you could just skip to that part and save me the headache, that would be great. Thank you. Okay.
El Salvador with an arrest warrant, and they agreed to return him to our country. We're grateful to President Bukele for agreeing to return him to our country to face these very serious charges. This is what American justice looks like. Good afternoon.
That doesn't bode well. This is what American justice looks like. Incredible. Kangaroo court. Kangaroo court. Yeah, woo. I love this country. Yes. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, whose mistaken deportation to El Salvador became a political flashpoint in the Trump administration's stepped-up immigration enforcement, was returned to the United States on Friday to face criminal charges related to what the Trump administration said was a large human smuggling operation that brought immigrants into the country illegally. Incredible. Incredible. His abrupt release from El Salvador closes one chapter and opens another in a saga that yielded a remarkable months-long standoff between Trump officials and the courts over deportation that officials initially acknowledged was done in error, but then continued to stand behind in apparent defiance of orders by judges to facilitate his return to the U.S. Development occurred after the U.S. officials presented El Salvador President Bukele with an arrest warrant for federal charges in Tennessee, accusing Abrego Garcia of playing a key role in smuggling immigrants into the country for money. He's expected to be prosecuted in the U.S. and, if convicted, will be returned to his home country of El Salvador at the conclusion of the case, officials said on Friday. Okay. What gets me is if they had this info, you know, they would not have shut up about it earlier. Yeah. Anytime, there's two things I need to mention. One, anytime Fox News starts running a story, or even conservatives in general, Republicans in general, Fox News in general, but anytime they start running a story and they get like 24/7 coverage of it for weeks, and then after the fact, months later, they're like, well, actually, it was that he was doing this other thing that's bad. You should always raise at least half an eyebrow and wonder why this information wasn't provided earlier, and wonder if, I don't know, maybe it's being made up. Yeah. Okay. And the reality is, like, yeah, this is the same way that I feel about this is a great point to bring up, George Floyd. George Floyd was actually a bad guy. That's why they killed him ass shit. Yeah, exactly. Where I remember Candace Owens doing the fucking tours talking about how he was no angel. He was no angel. You realize he could have committed whatever crime, any crime, and he should have still not been killed by the police who already had him in custody, who already had him handcuffed? Wasn't the original charge guilty of being suspiciously tattooed? Yeah, he had MS-13 tattoos, aka we made it up. We just made it up. I don't give a fuck what crime somebody committed. Due process for everybody, or you have due process for nobody. I don't give a fuck what George Floyd did. He could have given a $20 counterfeit bill. He could have had an armed gun robbery. I really don't care what his crime was, because I don't think that the police should just show up on the spot and start executing people. I don't care what your crime is. I think you're owed due process. I don't think the police should just show up and kill you because they feel like being judge, jury, and executioner. I don't know, just as like an idea, maybe we shouldn't just like let the cops do that. Maybe that's bad. But this concept is like foreign for the average conservative brain, because then it makes them have to question, wait, is due process good? Should we have due process for everybody? I don't know. That might be a little too crazy. Okay, let me see. One sec. I wanted to pull up two things. First, I wanted to pull up the Fox News coverage.
Welcome back. A Homeland Security task force, take a look at that, seizing nearly 4 tons of methamphetamine out in San Diego this week. It happened at a border checkpoint. The 3 men who are charged in the incident, all in the U.S. legally, according to government records. One a felon convicted of spousal battery, false imprisonment. Let's bring in Tricia McLaughlin, DHS Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs. Tricia, I mean, I'm not an expert, but that looks like a lot of drugs.
That's a lot of drugs, and that's a lot of drugs off of our streets and out of American communities. But Jillian, I have to say, this underscores why it is so important that border crossings are down to historic lows under President Trump and Secretary Noem's leadership, because our Border Patrol agents aren't stuck at processing facilities bringing people into the interior of our country. Instead, they're actually out on the field stopping cartels, stopping these CCP-backed groups who are trying to bring illicit drugs into our country. Actually, earlier today, President Sheinbaum of Mexico announced that fentanyl trafficking was down 40% since
CCP, huh? Okay. All right.
President Trump took office. Think of the number of families that's saving, the number of lives that's saving in this country.
We're getting brand new reporting into the newsroom now. There is chatter that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is headed back to the U.S. now to face criminal charges. The man who the Supreme Court determined was, wrongfully deported and sent to El Salvador. What can you tell us?
Jillian, I'm not going to get ahead of the Department of Justice or ahead of the Attorney General, but what I will say is that we have been saying for months at the Department of Homeland Security is that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is not some innocent Maryland father, as the media—
He was no angel. Oh my God.
I'd like to portray him. He is an MS-13 gang member. He was involved in human trafficking. He was involved in labor trafficking. And by his own wife's testimony, he also is a wife beater. This is not somebody that we want in our country. He is from El Salvador, and that is where he should end up. But I'll leave it to—
They said the quiet part out loud. Just this is not somebody we want in our country. He's from El Salvador and he should go back. Just say it. Just fucking say it, dude.
He is from El Salvador and that is where he should end up. But I'll leave it to the Department of Justice to—
What is—
And my first generation Switch had
what the hell? Stop. I don't know why some random clips
announce
are playing.
anything further at this time.
Okay, let's go back to the drug bust for a second. Talk to us about how you guys kind of does this something that just unfolds in real time and agents have to deal with it? Or is it something that you kind of prepare for and strategize over for a long time before you execute?
Our Border Patrol agents are experts in this. They know the signs, they know what they're looking for. And we also have strategies as far as from an investigative standpoint that, of course, I cannot get ahead of. But I mean, San Diego is one of the busiest ports of entry we have in this country. And we see this was our second largest meth bust in American history. So I think that Americans can be incredibly proud of our Border Patrol agents. And we're seeing each and every day the fact that these politicians and the media go out of their way to vilify our law enforcement. We're seeing a major uptick in assaults against ICE enforcement officers and even Border Patrol. It's disgusting. It's wrong. And these are law enforcement agents that we should be incredibly proud of. They are cleaning up American streets and making sure that these lethal drugs don't impact our children and don't impact American communities.
Real quick, what do you say about this push to get ICE agents to unmask while they're executing detentions like the one on our screen right now?
I think Hakeem Jeffries and AOC and Tim Walz are giving really a hall pass to these violent activists who are trying to dox our ICE enforcement agents.
Holy, I like how in the wake of all of the BLM protests and people masking for protests and, Black Bloc fucking Antifa super soldiers, most of which all of these protests were peaceful protests. And the few that were not peaceful, there's at least been recorded footage of a couple instigators at a couple of these events. Just say that. And the entire Fox News media, for the longest time, just, well, what do they have to hide? Well, why are they masking? They have nothing to hide. They shouldn't be masking if they have nothing to hide. And when we suggest, I don't know, maybe we should have accountability for the ICE agents randomly showing up at people's homes and taking them away and sending them to El Salvador, these people should be held accountable. Maybe, just as an idea. Maybe.
To the AOC and
what's the answer? What answer do we get?
Walls are giving really a hall pass to these violent activists who are trying to dox our ICE enforcement agents. As I said before, our ICE officers.
These violent activists, Hakeem Jeffries, AOC, and Tim Walz, are trying to dox our agents. Same people, by the way, who wanted to criminalize wearing masks at protests, by the way. Just a reminder. Just a reminder.
Officers are facing a 400% increase in violent assaults against them. These men and women are on the front lines, risking their lives each and every day to get vicious gangs, to get murders, to get rapists off of our streets. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud to stand with them. And the American people do too. This is gutter politics that Hakeem Jeffries is trying to play here.
All right, Tricia.
Let's hold these ICE agents accountable. This is gutter politics.
Tricia, we're going to let you go. Thank you for taking time with us on this busy day.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
I'm just saying, guys, anytime someone responds saying that no due process, or Nancy Mace saying due process is for citizens and then getting community noted, respond with this. It's a 4-part comic where a bunch of people with MAGA hats are in handcuffs and chains, and they're being sent to like the MAGA Crusher 9000. And the judge says death. And the MAGA hats guy says no trial, no jury. And the other guy says, you violated the law. You are not entitled to due process. And it's a quote from Representative Victoria Spartz. MAGA Crusher 9000 kind of goes hard. Unbelievable. The violent left cheering on a comic with stick figures. Unbelievable how far the violence has gone. Disgusting. I'm so disgusted. Unbelievable. Okay. Now. Oh, someone else linked this. 2 weeks ago, Ben Schrader, the highly respected chief of the criminal division for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Nashville, announced he had resigned. According to the LinkedIn data, that was May 21st, the same day as Abrego Garcia's indictment. ABC News is reporting that Schrader's resignation was prompted by concerns that the case was being pursued for political reasons. When I reached him today by text, Schrader responded simply by saying, quote, "Thanks, Phil. I have no comment." And this is Ben Schrader, I guess before the resignation. No, I think it's before or after the resignation. I'll read it. It says, earlier today, after nearly 15 years as an assistant United States attorney, I resigned as the chief of the criminal division at the U.S. Attorney's Office for Middle District of Tennessee. It's been an incredible privilege to serve as a prosecutor with the Department of Justice, where the only job description I've ever known is to do the right thing in the right way for the right reasons. I wish my colleagues at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Nashville and across the department the best as they seek to do justice on behalf of the American people. That's good. This is good. As a European, it feels so foreign to me to see national TV news networks like Fox News clearly doing propaganda for the right. How is this legal? Well, it's legal because they're actually an entertainment source. They're not a news source. And this chatter is also correct. They just proved that they were always full of shit, being able to bring him back. They needed to wait for a story to push before they could bring him back. And now that they finally have one, yes. Now that they have he was actually trafficking hundreds, thousands, millions of illegal immigrants. So we have to bring him back. We'll bring him back. Sure. Okay. All right. Oh, God, dude. Okay. And then let me close these for a second.